As advertised during the day, we were having Victor Stranges CD we were going to play and give out some all sorts of information. Well, things have got better. We've actually got Victor in the studio. And we've also got Matt. So we've got Victor Stranges and Matt Swanton. That's right? Yep, got it right. Absolutely. Okay, folks. Well, we're going to talk about your music and what you're doing and try and find out a whole lot of information about you, because you're just hitting the scene with this new album. You've got an album out earlier, and now you've got this new one which we're going to be promoting, which is called Hello, Me to You. So actually what we might do is I think we'll play this song so we can get an idea of what, or listeners can get an idea of what your music's like. Hello, Me to You, Victor Stranges. And we have Victor in the studio. And Victor's going to tell us about his new album called Hello, Me to You, which is the second one, isn't it, you've yet done?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Yep. Get that microphone up a bit better, Lindsay. Okay.
Yeah.
What inspired this particular song?
Oh, this particular song, or the two parts to it, the music is probably a culmination of many influences I've had over the years, bands that I love. I was listening to a lot of The Kinks lately, Ray Davies, and I always wanted to start off a song with a classic rock riff, and this just sort of came out, the da-da-da-da. I was like, oh, that sounds good. Maybe I'll start with that, in that spirit. And obviously the style of the song probably follows a classic radio sort of rock song. And a lot of people sort of say, oh gosh, you sound like Elvis Costello. I can't help that. I just grew up on the guy, and it was sort of like meat and potatoes for me as a teenager.
I actually thought that when I first heard your voice.
Okay,
Elvis Costello.
Yeah,
very much so. But that's great.
So that musically, that's probably where it comes from. Lyrically, there's actually a bit of a story to it. There's a lot of truth in that story. As funny as it is, it's if you sort of look through the verses, it sort of talks about me. I used to be in the record retail business. I used to manage record shops, and I actually met my wife Nerida through the record shop. So it's a bit of a play on that situation, and talking about the perils of being a chart store, and getting visiting sales reps coming, trying to get you to promote their songs, play them in store, and so they get up on the charts and all that sort of thing. It's a bit of a, sounds like it's a mismatched romance. Someone actually heard the song in the States. There's this Taxi in the USA, which is like an A&R company. They heard it and they thought it was actually a romance gone wrong. I hate to say, but I actually married the girl, and that's worked out really good. But no, I don't hate to say that. It's a good thing, I should say. Yeah. But it's just funny. Because she was into, and Nerida's probably listening to this. She was into, sort of a lot of sort of what I'd call straight bands. I say that respectfully, like White Snake and all these sort of bands. And she was a big Bon Jovi fan, and I kind of liked Elvis Costello, and I kind of was led to believe that she liked Elvis Costello too, but in the end it turns out she was just trying to be cool and, get alongside me type thing. And that's what some of the lyrics represent, I suppose. It's just a bit of a play on that situation. So
right. This album is called Hello, Me to You. Why did you pick that song or that particular name for the album itself?
There's probably not that much thought process behind it. That was, to me, it was like the obvious first single, and I just thought, when you see bands where they got the albums named after the single, it just I sort of thought, that'll do. I was going to call it something a bit weird and a bit out there, like Let the Dead Go Bury Their Own or something like that, which is a play on a few words from the Bible, actually. And but no, I just thought, that probably won't work, and so I just stuck with Hello, Me to You. And as it turns out, the first album's called Heading Back to You, and so it's the H to You is very prominent in both the albums, Heading Back to You and Hello, Me to You. So that was just purely accidental. I realised after I got the CD at home, I thought, oh gosh, why did I do that? Kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you heard the Go-Betweens have got 2 L's in every album title of theirs. Apparently, I'm just following that tradition. Yeah.
I don't have any music from the Go-Betweens. I've seen them ages ago. Yeah. But I really haven't got any material from them at all. I should follow that up. Another one of these things that are on the list, and the list is rather long. You know what it's like. All musicians have that sort of thing, or anyone involved in the entertainment industry has a long list of things to do. Yep. Yeah, right. How did you What made you decide to write music and actually be a muso in the first place?
Oh gosh, the long story. I'll give you a shortened story because otherwise,
Okay.
I started playing drums when I was about 11, and I pestered my father for years to get a drum kit, and
Yep.
finally he relented. I couldn't believe it, and he got me this drum kit for $670 from a shop in Dandenong. He bargained the guy down from $749, and he included delivery. And my dad was really impressed because, it took him an hour to negotiate the deal at the time. And so that got me into music. I played drums and I played in a couple of garage bands as a kid. And in the 80s, in high school, I got into this band called DND, which stands for Drunk and Disorderly. And
sounds like good.
Yeah, it was
Sounds like me.
Sort of like I suppose a punk band. We were listening to a lot of the Clash and Stiff Little Fingers, all these type of bands, and I kind of got into play. I first got into playing guitar from playing in that band. I just thought, wow, there's only 3 chords in that song. I can play those chords. And I just got to get a guitar, and so I had an acoustic laying around. So just sort of self-taught and just got into it that way, and sort of got into a lot of the British type bands like the Specials and those kind of bands, and sort of got into songwriting through Elvis Costello, and then I got into Tom Waits and Bob Dylan, and sort of, you just sort of find your way through the musical palette or kaleidoscope or whatever you want to call it. And so that's how I sort of got to songwriting, and I think I developed a real passion for songwriting around that time. I just thought, wow, this is really good. It was really liberating to know that you didn't have to actually be able to play an instrument fantastically to write a song, but you could still write a really good song.
Just have a way with words. Excellent.
Exactly.
Now, you and Matt have got a song organised. You're going to play for us live.
Yes.
So this is something new, folks. We're having a live music on our show tonight. So while they're getting their guitars organised, hopefully we're all in tune. Well, we did all that before. Here we go. What we got? We've got Maton guitars. Excellent.
Couple of Matons, so
quality. Okay,
we'll go
when
for
you're
it.
Ready.
Yeah, no worries. This one's called Morning Star, which is actually the opening track. Here we go. 2, 3, 4.
Life gets in the way of a perfect day. Seems like we've been on the shelf for way too long. This is your song, coming fast. No time to dwell in the past. Oh, I didn't mean to spoil your perfect dream. That's no reason for you to kiss it goodbye. Don't you cry, take my hand, 'cause your every wish is my command. Let me tell you now, and let me show you how. What we have cannot be confined to this verse. So let's reverse this reckoning, 'cause eternity is beckoning. when the morning star rises in your heart as the day dawns. You will know for certain, you will know for sure, you will sing this song.
Excellent. Gee, that sounded great. Not often I have, in fact, hardly ever I've had live muso or musos playing live in the studio. I mean, most of the musos I have in here are live, I think.
No, this isn't a recording, is it? This is live.
Yeah, this is live. There you go, folks. Live music on 88.3, and Purple Haze is the program, in case you weren't sure where we are. Lindsay Crawford at the controls here. And I have Victor and Matt with me. We're going to be talking to them again very shortly. In the meantime, I've got some interesting information here which I need to play.
Earth and Sky.
Today.
Right, we have microphones on now. We're going to talk about the band. The band is called Victor Stranges and The Methinks. Is it correct?
That's correct, Lindsay.
Right. Now, we know you're involved in it because you started it and you wrote the songs, etc., etc. You're the lead singer and guitarist. Do you play electric guitar or acoustic guitar on stage?
Most of the time it's electric. I've got a Fender Telecaster.
Oh, right.
Yeah, which I play. So yeah, and
is it a new one or an old one?
Oh, I bought it brand new in 1992, I think it was.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so I've had it since then.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Matt, how did you get involved?
Well, how do we get involved? I've known Vic for years. I was in a cover band with him way back in the old days. We were...
Wasn't that long ago, Matt, was it?
It was for me. I'm only 22. So,
right. As a percentage of your years,
it's according to... Yeah, it's all relative. Anyway, I used to play keyboards in that band, and that was... it was good fun. That died off when a couple of members had to move to Sydney. So, and then I got a call out of the blue one day saying, "Hey, do you want to come and help me record an album?" So I went over to Vic's a few times over a period of a few months and recorded bits and pieces.
Right.
And then what happened after that? You learnt everything I knew.
Matt, just to give you a background, Matt's actually an extraordinary. He has a great grasp of the Pro Tools, which is for recording studio software, running it through a Mac or whatever. And I'd actually just purchased Pro Tools because I wanted to set up a home recording studio, and I had no idea about it. And lo and behold, my friend Matt knew everything about it because he was studying at Box Hill TAFE, was it? Yeah. And so Matt sort of taught me a few bits and bobs about it and sort of got me up and going, helped me with a couple of tracks. And
eventually he kind of sprouted his own wings and took
Right.
off from there. And what he recorded in the end was practically him, everything.
Yeah.
And it just turned out really well.
Excellent.
And I barely touched the thing. It was amazing.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So now you're, what are you playing on stage?
It's keyboards and guitar.
And guitar?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not both at the same time?
Sometimes, although
Oh, really?
that's pretty awkward, and I don't. Well, not exactly at the same. Maybe both
Yeah.
in a song or something, but
Oh, that'd be something to
it's
see.
fun juggling it all.
Right.
Oh, and backing vocals as well.
We're
Yeah.
toying with
Harmonies.
the idea of actually, you know, how you got twin neck guitars, maybe having
Yep.
a guitar that has a neck, but then a keyboard that comes out of it as well. But
I think I've seen something like that. You're
I
fairly
don't know if they
rare.
actually exist, but that would be great.
Be my favourite instrument ever.
Yeah.
Fair enough. What other instruments are you interested in?
I play a little bit of drums as well.
Yep.
That's about it, I think. Yeah,
Yep.
just in the band I do keyboards and electric guitar. So.
Yeah. Well, that's,
Oh, and he
that's
does
plenty.
vocals as well.
Yeah.
Vocals,
harmonies,
yeah, sorry. Yeah.
You ever thought about being lead singer or anything like that?
I'm not that ambitious. No.
Fair enough.
I quite enjoy the position I'm in. Besides, I can't write a song for anything.
Oh, no, that's not true. Oh, you co-wrote Morning Star, and which was the song we just played, and we actually did a couple of tracks together. I remember one of your projects at school, actually.
Oh, yeah.
We did those. They were fantastic. That was great.
All right.
Yeah.
No, they were rubbish.
What other members are there in the band?
Well, we've got Darren Aquilina. He's the drummer.
Yep.
The Methinks actually existed before the current lineup, and Darren and myself were in the Methinks prior to 2003, 2002. Made up of a few different people. My brother Michael Stranges was actually in the band back then, and he was bass guitarist in that, and we recorded an album, Heading Back to You, and my brother, or I call him Mick or Michael. G'day Mick, if you're there. He sort of was a big inspiration in that, and that sort of started, I suppose, in the mid '90s, and it had various people playing in it. We even had we had so many musos. You had this guy called Jamie, who was an extraordinary guitarist. I can't even remember his last name. It was that long ago. There was another guy that was in it too, John Rees, who was a bass player of Men at Work. He was in it for a short period of time, and he was fantastic. He was an awesome bass player, and there's a great when he actually auditioned for the band. It's hard to believe that he auditioned for my band. I wouldn't call it an audition. He turned up for a jam, really, and I was such a big fan of Men at Work. I had the second album, Cargo, was one of my favourite albums, sort of growing up. And and this guy walks into Darren's room, and we're sort of jamming away. And this is John Rees, and I'm really cool, calm, and collected. And g'day, John, how are you? You kind of played in that band Men at Work, didn't you? And inside, I'm fully going, man, this is John Rees from Men at Work. What's going on? And I was just trying to play the cool character lead singer type thing, and I said, so the second album, by way of, how many did that sell? Cargo. Goes, about 5 or 6 million. I thought, yeah, that's pretty good. I said, so how many did Business as Usual sell? And he said, I think 12 or 13 million or something like that. And there's this guy in Darren's bedroom. I think his kids sleep in that bedroom now. And trying out for my band, and he's actually a Grammy Award winner. And yeah, so that was really cool. And I mean, he played for a few months, and turned up to practice one day, and John was playing piano, and I'm like, this guy's just the most amazing classical piano player. He's just amazing. And so John was part of the Methinks back then, and we were sort of called Caravan before then as well. But we changed to the Methinks, and then it was Victor Stranges and the Methinks, because the lineup stability sort of changed. And and we finished up in 2003, and then that's where the line was drawn in the sand. I sort of stopped playing original music for a while and was playing some retro rock and roll stuff, and Matt was involved with me. And then after that, sort of got the itch to record again and to put a band together. And Darren was the obvious guy to call upon, because the relationship with him from the previous time. And he sort of said, I don't know, Vic, I said, let's just go out for a coffee, and just have a chat about it. He goes, all right. We caught up, and it was really good to see Darren. I hadn't seen him in years, and he'd become a father. He's got 2 kids and so forth. And and so he was involved. And then Alex Rioch, it's spelled Reoch. I thought it was Rioch until Saturday night.
Yeah.
I introduced him on stage. He goes, "No, it's Rioch." I'm like, "You're not French." I met him via. There's a website called melband.com.au or osband.com.au, and that's a networking site for people that are looking for musos. And we just kind of bumped into each other there. I was sort of advertised for a bass player, and we sort of hit it off. He's sort of British background, so he was into like the Smiths and all these sort of guys that I was into, and we really just sort of hit it off over the telephone. And I thought, we've got to get together with this guy, and we jammed one night, and it floored me because he was wanting to be a bass player in the band, but he's also a very accomplished guitarist. And he was playing I was going through a Pretenders phase at that stage, and I was right into that song Kid, and I said, "Man, do you know Kid?" He goes, "Yeah." And so I played the chords, and I think I got on the piano as well, and he played the guitar solo, which floored me because that James Honeymoon Scott guitar solo is just one of the best ever rock and roll guitar solos, to me. It's really tasteful, and so that was really nice, and so that's the band. And then obviously Matt was a part of it before, like he said. Sort of had the relationship with him before then, and we just sort of been rehearsing for a few months, probably over a year now, and sort of the album's ready now, and sort of done a lot of things as a result. We've actually set up a website, victorstranges.com, so if you like the music you hear, you can actually buy it. You can download the album, or you can get hard copies, you just pay through PayPal. And we recently did a gig at Pure Pop Records in St Kilda, Barclay Street, and you can actually get the album there, a hard copy of Hello Me to You there as well. Thanks, Dave. And also Warwick at Greville Records in Paran, Greville Street, you can get the album there. But if you can't sort of get there, go to the website. Yeah.
Great.
There's my plug for the night.
Now, where are you playing?
Well, we just played a gig on the weekend at the Brunswick Hotel. We did a couple of sets there. It's on Sydney Road, and prior to that we played at Pure Pop Records the week before. And we've actually, this Saturday's the album launch, and we're playing at The Q in Fitzroy. The Q is like a pool hall. So if you really hate the band, you can go play pool, and it's really cool.
Right.
So we're playing there this Saturday night, and we've got a band playing with us, Zootonic. A couple of friends of ours are a rock band, 4-piece. So, and then after that, we're sort of just setting up some gigs for October, November. Sort of trying to get that organised now, but it's a promotional juggernaut at the moment, coming in, doing radio interviews and things like that, and getting all that organised. So we're self-managed, so it's sort of one step at a time type thing. Right.
Well, when you get the all those dates net organised, give us a bell and we can put them right.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Excellent. Okay, now we're going to play another song from your new album. Which one would you like to play the stage?
I don't know. Why don't we play Memories?
Memories,
track 4. Yeah.
Okay. We're back, folks. Memories. Just before I ask you all about that, Victor, the back of your album has got a whole lot of drawers and things.
Yes.
And you're standing in front of them. What's all the drawers?
The drawers, those drawers are in my recording studio in the garage. It's actually a garage converted to a recording studio, fully. It's like soundproof and everything. I've done it right. And I had sort of bits of everything laying around, and my wife Nerida, she actually she's an avid garage sale type person. She goes every morning and she finds stuff, and she found these awesome drawers, and they all were like coloured.
I see that.
So they're perfect for videos and DVDs, and hiding all sorts of musical little junket things. It
looks excellent. Most unusual. You don't see things like that often in the back of albums. Memories. Now, what was the story behind that song?
Well, Memories, it's funny because I was going through a bit of a Roy Orbison phase recently. I went through a Roy Orbison phase years ago, but I got this DVD which was about his life and about his music and the tragic end to his life and all that. And it was a bit of a semi-documentary. It was a documentary, and they had all sorts of people on there like Bono and all that. And at that time I was listening to a few of his songs, and one song in particular really stuck in my mind. I kept playing it over and over. It's a bit like Bono on this DVD of Roy Orbison was talking about the very same thing. He actually wrote, I can't remember which song it was, but Mystery Girl, She's a Mystery to Me. I don't know if you remember that song. That was actually written by U2 or by Bono, and apparently the story goes that if you see this DVD, Bono's was playing this song because it was on some soundtrack, Blue Velvet or something like that, from memory, and he kept playing it over and over and over again, and he was on tour, and the next morning he woke up and he wrote Mystery Girl, and he goes, I just played a Roy Orbison song. And the next day they had a sound check, and he was playing it to his band, and they're going, yeah, that's really cool, Bono, it sounds like Roy Orbison, you know. And then all of a sudden there's a knock on the door, and who is it? It's Barbara and Roy Orbison, they want to see you, Bono. And the band just looked at each other and they went, what? And Bono goes, this sounds like a load of horse tripe, but I didn't organise this isn't set up. And he came in, and Roy sort of said to him, you know, yeah, I saw the concert, I really dug it. He goes, have you got a song for me? And, you know, he was just floored because he'd written this song, I think it was the night before or something like that. And, you know, that's a bit of a side story about Roy Orbison and Bono, but I actually never met Roy Orbison, but obviously, but I was, at that time when I was looking at that documentary, I was really inspired by that same song in Dreams, and kept playing it over and over again, and playing it on piano, learning it, and sort of studying Roy's nuances with his voice, and I thought, I want to write a song for Roy, you know. Actually, it wasn't sort of directly for Roy necessarily, because obviously Roy's not around. Apparently his wife Barbara is still around, and she was quite young. She was a lot younger than him, his second wife, because Claudette passed away. She's got a publishing company apparently in America called Working Class Music or something like that. But I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could write this song and somehow Barbara would hear it, and, you know, it'd be a reminder of Roy or something like that. It was just one of those things I just really felt to write, about Roy. It wasn't about Roy Orbison, but it was kind of in that spirit. And if you hear the orchestrations of the song, it's done like in a classic reverb 50s kind of style, with sort of drums without the snare on it, and it's sort of orchestrations and strings and that type of stuff. And the obvious sort of me trying to be Roy Orbison at the end of the song, of trying to go right up high like Roy does. I don't know if I do it anywhere near as good as Roy, but that's my measly attempt, and maybe one day some great singer can sing it, and, you know, and do it justice.
People often grab other people's songs and change them around and do all sorts of strange things with them, weird things, and sometimes they sound good and sometimes they don't, but it's always a challenge for somebody to do that with other people's songs, isn't it? It's a bit of an adventure. I've often thought about doing that myself one day, but not this week.
Too busy.
Absolutely. Now, we're going to play a track from your first album.
Yes.
You Need Money. That the one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, we'll listen to that, and then we might have a bit of a talk about that one. Got it. That was different. That was very different.
Yes.
Where'd you get that ending from?
I don't know. Well, that ending actually just happened in the studio, because that was recorded at a friend of mine, Marcello Larico. He's got a recording studio. It's a fantastic studio. If you're looking for a great studio, it's actually in Keysborough. We recorded the album there, and at the time, Matt was a bit young, and he wasn't in the band scene with me at the time.
About 5.
You're about 5? Yeah. No, you weren't that young. I had a keyboard player that came in on the recording sessions, a guy called David Milne.
Yeah.
He's a great musician. He's a piano player, and he played piano on that album. And he's also a guitarist, and he's had his own bands. He's a drummer. I think he studied at the VCA. He played on I think a couple of Ice Cream Hands albums, and I think he plays with Charles Jenkins now in his band. And they're a great band too. So we were just in the studio, and I think he was playing organ. We didn't have an organ, and we're trying to get an organ-y kind of sound, and that was sort of the closest sort of kooky sort of thing we could find. And you know, he learnt the songs a few days before, and I think it was just like a bit of mucking around at the end of the track, and I just thought, nah, that stays in. That's the ending. It was just goofing around, and it just sounded great. And
excellent.
Thanks, Dave. It's great.
Good. We'll keep that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, some of your songs seem to have a little bit of religion into them. Is this personal beliefs or just something to write about, or what?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose everyone's got their beliefs in whatever way they choose to believe in a god or not or whatever. Yeah. And that's a faith, whether you believe in something or not. You got faith in something. So for me, it's a personal thing. I had an experience a few years ago. I became a Christian, and it's something that's been a real great thing in my life, and it's been a real rock for me. And it just sort of comes across naturally in what I write. I think it's just an extension of who I am.
Right.
There's really no sort of agenda there, really, but I suppose you just share things that are just part of your life, and they're
Just the way
reflected
you
in the songs. Yeah, they're very personal, and so I suppose that comes across, which is good. People look for that in songs sometimes, and that's a good thing, and some people don't. And you hear bands like U2 that have a lot in their songs, probably a lot more than what people think if you really look for it. It's laced with a lot of Christian themes, and there's bands like some great 60s, 70s bands. There's a band called Big Star, if any of your listeners have heard of them. They're a power pop band from the early 70s. One of the songwriters, Chris Bell, I think he was a very religious guy, and they just had an amazing sound and just real personal stuff. And I think that's quite common in music if you really have a look around. And
there's a lot of people writing songs about personal issues that affect all of us, and they take it personally, like caring for the planet and all sorts of things as well. The music is a great way of actually getting an idea across. You can just share things with people. It's fascinating in many ways.
Definitely.
Now, touring.
Yes.
Got anything in mind?
Well, it's funny because we're sort of flying by the seat of our pants with this album, because I think I mentioned before we don't have a manager. I'm the manager. Victor Stranges is the manager of Victor Stranges The Methinks, and so I'm basically booking gigs myself, and we haven't got an agent at this stage, so it's whatever we can get, ladies and gentlemen. And if anyone's out there wants to give us a go, we'll play anywhere. And no, I'm just kidding. No, we will play anywhere. Just give me a call or contact me on the website. Now we're probably going to this week I'm organising some gigs for October, November, but this weekend we've got the album launch, which I mentioned before. But apart from that, there's probably going to be like a bit of a cafe type gig coming up. Some stuff I've got to confirm, some acoustic type stuff as well. So we're just sort of taking it as it comes. We're doing a heavy radio promotion at the moment nationally. The song "Hello Me to You" was released to quite a number of community and independent stations. There's about 327 that it went to, but usually the take up on that, not everyone plays your song. You might get hopefully 10 or 15% or something like that. So it's just a case of servicing those radio stations and finding opportunities to sort of play live in the studio. For me is where it's great too. Like coming here tonight, being able to play is just, to me, that's a live gig. So that's what I'm doing tonight, and Saturday we've got that, and hopefully there'll be some more live studio opportunities, and we'll be organising some gigs, probably somewhere like the Barleycorn Hotel. We've played a couple of times. We'll probably play there again, maybe the Brunswick Hotel as well. Frankie down there, g'day Frankie if you're listening. Give us another go, mate. We'll get some people there. It'd be great. We had a ball there on Saturday. It was fantastic. It's such a great venue to play for a band. Just real classic sort of basic pub. I love playing in pubs. They're wonderful. So probably just sort of pub tour type stuff. And depending on what happens interstate, we'll just take it as it comes, I suppose. But at this stage, it's a Melbourne concern. We're focusing on developing a following in Melbourne.
Because you're a family man, so too much touring is not going to be that good, really. It's going to
That's right, and no record company's going to come up to me and give me a $500,000 advance to quit my job and just go on tour. So there's some practicalities there. I've got to turn up to work every day, which is
we have to manage these things in the proper way, don't we?
Exactly.
Oh, the other question I was going to ask you, and it was real important, and I've just... Oh, yes. Now, if you weren't playing music, what would you be doing?
Oh, the hypothetical question, yes.
Yeah. Entertainment orientation.
If I wasn't playing music, what would I be doing?
Like acting or anything of that nature?
Oh, in the entertainment sphere, I'm just trying to think. Oh, I'd love to be... is a record producer too similar?
Yeah.
It is, okay, forget that one.
Well, actually, no, it's not really.
It's funny because I did some production work on a friend of mine, one of his songs, and that was a really good experience, being able to not be the guy up front singing and but just be, playing instruments or just sort of producing it, recording it. So probably somewhere in that side.
Right.
Oh gosh, no, I really want to be a songwriter and singer. I don't know. That's what I really want. What I'm doing. But I suppose production, anything to do with entertainment and music. Original music. I don't know. I'm a printing sales rep at the moment, which is totally different. And that's a lot of fun too. There's a lot of challenges in that, and that's a business development role. I work for a company called Irwin's Printing, irwinsprinting.com.au. There's a plug, Mick, if you're listening, and Doug, and the boys and girls. They're a great company. They're an A2 offset printer, and I sort of work there during the day, and my job there is to get new clients for printing. So I suppose if I had another career that I wasn't in printing, because I'm doing printing, which is great, but if I wasn't doing printing and I wasn't doing music, I'd probably be interested in business development in the music industry, like marketing or something like that. That will probably be really good, because it's kind of the other hat that I wear with the band. I'm doing that anyway.
Sort of a mixture of it.
And that's quite interesting, and I've had a few opportunities to be a part of music libraries in America. There's a few, for film and television, they always look for songs to play as, in TV shows and things like that in the background. So I've recently signed some deals with some companies overseas. Nothing's come of that as yet, but I'm on their books, and so that's quite an interesting area, synchronisation of music and film as well.
How would you go writing something like that?
Well, I don't know, there's two ways to me. You can approach it like, I'm going to write a jingle, or I'm going to write, it could be as basic as a strumming acoustic guitar, and it's just incidental music. There's these websites that are up where you can basically upload your music, and people search for a 10-second sort of little flamenco guitar, and you could write a little flamenco piece and just put it up there and call it flamenco guitar, and then people buy that and put that on their films and TV shows and things like that. I thought of doing that, and that'd be interesting to do, but my heart's in songwriting. So I figure if I can marry the two, where people actually use the song in a film or something like that, that would give me a lot of fulfillment, rather than putting together a little flamenco piece of something that probably really doesn't mean too much to me. Although that'd be a cool little job to have too, if you could pay the bills. But I'm hoping to get that big hit that gets on Grey's Anatomy, and and overnight becomes like the number one downloaded song on iTunes. That's what I hope for, but it's probably never going to happen.
Well, you have to be positive about this. It's really just a matter of having something there, so it's got a good chance of being in the right place at the right time.
Well, that's right. You never know. I mean, I was just kidding, but you always hope in the back of your mind that the more that you're involved in things, and you're trying different opportunities, like playing live's one, releasing a record, promoting it, doing your website, getting out on radio. You meet people, and most people are really nice and genuine, and if they can sort of get a hold of what you're trying to do with your music and stuff, maybe they might buy in on it as well, and you might come across someone who places music on TV shows by chance, and it's wonderful if those sort of things happen, and they're the sort of things you hope. So I don't know if that answers your question. What was the question again?
It sort of does. It sounds to me like you're very lucky with having a very supporting wife. Allows you to do all these sort of things.
Yes.
A lot of married people, in a family situation, get so involved in the family that they just haven't got time to pursue anything except for their one job, and that's it. But it sounds like you're in a really good position there.
I'm really fortunate. Nerita's an amazing woman. She's a country girl, and the funny thing is our lifestyles really suit each other. She's a morning person, whereas I'm more of a night person.
Yep.
So she can go to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock. You know, she gets to bed really early.
Yeah.
And you know, I'll head down the studio, or you know, write some songs or do some recording, and so I'm kind of blessed in that way. And you know, or if I've got a rehearsal, you know, I'll come home, have dinner with actually no, normally we usually just go straight out to rehearsal because I go from work, but you know, hopefully I can try and go home and see the kids if the studio's close by, if we rehearse in Hallam or somewhere like that, and put them to bed or whatever, or say goodnight to them and then be off. And Nerida goes to bed a couple of hours later anyway, so it's kind of good in that way. She gets her rest and I get my lack of sleep. As a result, I'm up all sorts of hours.
Yeah, but it sounds like you both have your family unit together, your time together.
Yeah.
Even without the kids.
Yeah.
And also you have your own space.
Yeah, it's a pretty busy life, but you know what they say about busy people, they just get busier.
Well, yeah.
But
know the feeling.
It's a good blend, yeah.
Right. Now, we want to listen to another song. Any particular song you like for first album and second album? Yeah,
I was thinking of the new album. There's a song called Not That Bad At All, which is track 5 on the album.
Track 5.
Yeah.
Okay, we shall find that. Yep.
Yep.
Ready to go. And we'll have a listen to this. .3 Southern FM, Lindsay Crawford at the controls. We have Victor and Matt with us from Methinks.
Yes.
Victor Stranger and Methinks. That's right. Pronounced right, isn't it?
Oh, Victor Stranges, Stranges. Yeah, it's an unusual name.
Yes.
It's actually Italian, believe it or not, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think derived from the Vikings, though. I think these people kept moving, and when they went, I think, to France, I think they became Lestrange, the Strangers. And they moved from, and then they ended up settling in Italy as well, and were very wealthy sort of people, but that didn't go down to my generation.
Right. That's a fascinating story.
Yeah.
You ever been back to any of these countries and tried to trace any of that?
Not the history of Strangers, but I've been back to Italy a couple of times. I went in 1976 with the family. I was about 6 years old then, 5 or 6.
All right.
And I went back there in 1992 with a few friends and family as well, and sort of travelled around Europe, and that was a really good experience. Yeah. Italy's quite an amazing place. It's funny, like the north of Italy is so beautiful. You go to a place like Como, and it's better than a postcard. Like, imagine the best postcard you can of Italy, and it doesn't even compare. You know, it's just fantastic. Near the lake there, we stayed there at a friend of mine, Frank Mascaro. His cousins live there, and then the more south you get, the more sort of rugged it gets. And you know, we went down to Rome, and you know, it was a real eye opener because we were at the when we got off at the airport at Rome, I think it was initially, saw how people park their cars. They kind of, if the car park's too small, they'll use their bumper bar at their discretion, and they'll move the car with their car.
Really?
And I thought, what's going on here? But apparently it's normal. I don't know if it is still, but it was kind of bizarre. And the further south you get, they've got, very rare at that time in 1992, they got traffic lights, but no one uses them. Like there's a really busy town, there's one set of traffic lights and they're red, but everyone still goes through anyway. It's kind of like, you know, there is a token gesture, I think, but they've probably advanced since 1992, I'd imagine. I'm not sure, but I never forget walking across a little street in the shopping centre in Nicastro, which is down south, and it's kind of like, you know, Abbey Road, the cover, how you got the crossing there.
Yep.
Sort of going through one of those crossings, and I thought, there's this car that's doing, because everyone drives pretty fast around there, and you know, they don't wear seatbelts or anything like that, and you know, this was like a 40 or 50 zone type thing, and some guy was like, you know, about a kilometre out doing about 150 k's. I thought, I'm going to walk across here, I'll be fine. And I had to run. No, he obviously didn't see me.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. And another great experience was in Naples. My uncle picked us up from Rome, drove us all the way from Rome down to, because we come from Calabria, and got to Naples, and he stopped his car, and I think he got some petrol and stuff, and these guys come up to him and were offering to sell him cassettes, you know, like audio cassettes. This is sort of CDs had just started coming in, late 80s, early 90s, but cassettes were big. And these guys are really full-on harassing him, and he ended up relenting, saying, okay, I'll buy it. And I said, why'd you do that? He goes, oh, you got to do it here, otherwise, I said, oh, really? Okay, fair enough. That's the way it works, Again, Naples is probably, on the whole, a really nice place, but that was just an interesting thing that happened down south there. Yeah, things went south, down south.
Fascinating.
Yeah, that's Italy.
Different part of the world.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, all right. If I ever get there, I'll take advanced warning from that.
Yeah, and bring a friend, because they can smell someone who's not a local a mile away.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
and can't you change?
Yeah.
Yeah. My brother got a bank tried to rip off my brother a bank. Would you
bank?
believe? Yeah, he went there with some, I don't know if it was Australian dollars or something. Vince, if you're listening, you'll remember the story. And he wanted to get change, and they said, no, this is what you get. He goes, no, look, I've done the calculation, this is what I'm supposed to get. And I think he argued for like 10, 15 minutes. Then they eventually got the bank manager, and they said, sorry, we made a mistake, here's your... Yeah, it was kind of like, they were trying to pull a sort of shafting him. It was funny. That was interesting, I suppose it's like that in any country. Here comes the foreigner. Hey, let's
well, yes,
let's take
put
advantage.
The prices
of it.
up for a start.
Yeah, that's right. Probably happens here,
Well, yeah.
I'm sure it does.
Most things can happen in Australia.
Yeah.
In this part of the planet, most things do and can and still will in the future, I should think. Okay, Matt. Now, what are you planning on doing for your future?
I have no idea, actually. I'd really like to just roll with this for the moment. I really enjoy playing in bands, and this is it works for me. I love it. At the moment, I just work in a surf shop selling clothes, and it's a cool job. It doesn't take me anywhere. I just sit there, sell stuff, rearrange stuff in the shop, and then the boss puts it back in the place it was. And hi, Rick. And
you don't look like a surfer, Matt.
No, not at all. I don't actually surf.
I was going to ask you about
the
that.
irony.
You need to dye your hair blonde.
Yeah.
And put some, suntan lotion on.
I probably
slip,
should get
slap.
dreadlocks and
and play John Butler music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I don't really have much of an ambition. I mean, I'd like to work in a recording studio. I mean, I've studied a lot of recording stuff. Like I know how to use Pro Tools, and I could, if I was given a studio, I'd be able to sit in there and operate it fairly well, I would imagine. So I'd like to get into recording, but I think actually playing music is where my passion is, and I really enjoy that.
Nothing quite like being on stage in front of an audience.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a lot of fun and kind of exhilarating.
When you're on stage, do you look in the audience and see funny things happening, or haven't you really thought about doing too much of that?
I haven't really picked up. It's more this funny stuff that happens on stage, because we're so, I guess, intensely watching each other, seeing what each other do. It's I mean, sometimes somebody plays something by accident and it actually sounds really awesome, and I'm sure Darren's done that a couple of times, and it's just worked so well. We thought, we should have recorded that. Kept going, rolling with it.
It's funny. Yeah, I agree with that, man. It's the best things happen by accident sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like that story of Keith Richards when he wrote Jumpin' Jack Flash. He was actually trying to play a Chuck Berry riff, and he kind of made a mistake, and it turned into Jumpin' Jack Flash by accident. I thought, that sounds great, let's keep it, and roll with it.
Wow. That's one of their best songs.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So Keith Richards, he was a legend. He is a legend.
He's still alive too.
Yeah. And still
that's
playing.
the miracle,
Yeah. And I saw an interview of him a while ago, and his hands starting to get arthritis in his hands. Yeah. Wow. He's but he still plays.
Wow.
He still handles it. Amazing.
They're probably the first band that you sort of see that started really young, like, because rock and roll is a pretty new thing, isn't it? It's like 1950s. They're sort of the first almost rock band that you've seen from a very young age moving into retirement, and they're probably going to be in the Rolling Stones till the day they die, and you think, wow, that's an amazing life, and you sort of look back, that's never happened before. So to actually see that even at their age now, is quite an amazing thing. I suppose with blues artists, you know, it's been happening for a number of years because blues has been around a lot longer, which obviously the Stones derive from the blues and all that type of stuff. Robert Johnson, and you know, Robert Johnson's been dead for many years, but you know, with the passing of all the great blues people, you know, it's sort of starting to happen to rock and roll people, and it's really sad, you know, but it just, it's quite amazing.
It happens. Yeah, because at one stage the only rock and rollers that usually died were people that died from drugs or something of that nature, or car accidents.
Yeah, that's right.
But now they're starting to just go from old age, which is
that's right.
Yeah, fascinating. Yes, I seem to remember reading in a magazine once somewhere about it had something about Doctor Who, and Doctor Who was sort of still fighting the Daleks in some distant planet. The Stones were still on tour somewhere. It's quite funny. Anyway, now another song.
Yes.
What's next one you'd like?
Yeah, sure. Well, going off the same album, because we're sort of featuring the album Hello Me to You.
Oh yes, excuse me for interrupting.
Yes.
Before you do, on the front of your album, you're standing here with a shovel. What's the shovel for?
Oh, okay. I was afraid you were going to ask that, Lindsay.
Well, it's a green shovel.
Yeah, it's a green shovel. Yeah, it's I was just taking some photos at my young daughter Kiara. She's only 8 years old. I said, "Come on, we're going to take some photos for the album for Daddy." You know. Yeah. Oh, cool. You know, and we were just picking up props. You know, things that we found on the ground, and that there was a shovel there. You know, let's pick up the shovel, Kiara. Yeah, cool. Take a photo. And it's funny. It actually doesn't really mean anything. It was just a shot, and you know. When I looked at it, it kind of reminded me of those Captain Beefheart albums from the late 60s where, you know, he's got a trout mask on his face, or, you know, where they're holding flowers or just holding stupid things. Yeah. You know, and recently, or a few years ago, Morrissey had an album. What was it called, Matt?
Morrissey, You Are the Quarry.
You Are the Quarry, where he's holding a Tommy gun. Yeah. And I thought, well, it's not a gun, it's just a shovel, and it didn't appear apparent to me that it looked like a violent album cover until someone pointed it out to me after we'd pressed it. I thought, oh yeah, you could take it that way, because I do look like a bit of an undertaker with the shovel, but it was purely meant to be in jest, and the blurriness of the photo was a homage to Blonde on Blonde, Bob Dylan. You know, it's just one of those things that just sort of happened, and I just really liked it, and it's there, and now I'm looking for a sponsor that is interested in sponsoring me, you know, a shovel company or something like that. Maybe we can work out a cross promotion of Hello Me to You with a shovel. I'm in the market for that, and any way to monetize my songs and things like that. So
you can look at this and you can see all sorts of things. And I mean, the shovel's green for a start, so you can sort of promoting the greenness of planet Earth or something like that's, like a greenie.
Oh yeah, true, yeah.
Especially with a shovel, digging for victory or all sorts of things, or an undertaker, as you say. I hadn't thought about that one.
Yeah, I'm trying to cultivate a following. I think that's what I'm trying to do with a shovel.
Well done. Okay, now, sorry, I interrupted you with that.
No, that's okay. I want to play a track called Is There Someone to Thank for All of This? Which is track 7.
"19 years ago, Victor Stranges." What influenced that?
Lyrically, well, the song's actually a very personal song. It's actually about my dad. He passed away. Actually, he passed away 20 years ago, but when I wrote the song, it was 19 years ago, hence 19 years ago, which was last year. Yeah, that was a real turning point in my life. I was actually, I think, how old was I at the time? About 18 or something, when Dad died, and and the lyrics probably allude to that a bit, like very truthful in a lot of ways, like when the first lyrics say, "It was only 19 years ago, sitting in the car with the radio, crying to an AM station. That song was my salvation." That was the day my dad died. I went out to my car in the hospital car park, and I sat in there, and I sort of had tears coming out of my eyes. I think, you know, it was the day my dad was in a coma and that type of stuff, and I was lit up a cigarette, and I had an old XW station wagon, you know, as my first car, and I I didn't even know if it had FM radio. So sitting in the car with the radio crying to an AM station, I actually flicked on the AM station and there was a song playing, and that song sort of carried me through.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, on that side it was very personal. And actually it goes into a bit of the strangest family history. It goes back, it kind of jumps around a bit, but it goes back to 1961 when Dad was living in Italy and he was dreaming of his bride to come, and dreaming of working in a foreign land, though the words he wouldn't understand, and sort of describes how that would be quite a different experience. And then they got married, and that's sort of mentioned in the song somehow in a metaphoric way. And I suppose the end, sort of the inspiration for the end. It's hard. You don't want to be called a poet in rock and roll, but you do aspire to write things that are really eternal and really have a deep meaning, and it can have double meaning type things. I don't set out to confuse people. I just like writing that way. It just seems to be a very interesting way to do it. And probably the last verse lyrically was, I suppose, really inspired by someone like a Tom Waits. If you ever listen to his songs where it's just like a dry piano, and at the end he has the big orchestrations coming in with the orchestra, and that, if you have a listen to the song, that's basically what it kind of does. It comes in with the strings later, and there's a bit of a tragic, not a tragic end like but it's kind of like one of those type songs where you think, oh wow, and how it speaks. What do I say in it? Just like the wind sways the trees when winter's stealing every leaf. It was only 19 years ago that I had to let you go. It was so it kind of almost describes nature's reality of like this mortal coil. We've all got to leave, and it can just happen just like that. But I suppose the theme of the album, if there is a theme, I mean, it has its pretty depressing Leonard Cohen type songs on there, but there's a fair share of hope in the songs as well too. There's not necessarily hope in every song, because it's sort of part of each song's a picture of or part of the puzzle, I suppose. And that particular one was, one remembering my dad, and it's honest, and that it was sad, and a lot of people have that common experience, maybe what I went through, and but and musically, the Tom Waits factor was weighed in quite heavily on that one, because I sort of learned to play the piano a couple of years ago, and playing that was sort of the first proper song that I think that I wrote on piano. And so putting that together was part of the inspiration as well, to write just on piano. That was part of it. And Matt was just talking while the song was playing. He goes, "Oh, it's got that Into My Arms thing about it." And because when I actually recorded Nick Cave, Into My Arms, when I recorded it, I actually just had piano, and I thought it kind of needs something else, like an undercurrent, but a beat, but not a drum, know. And having the bass just sort of really freed it up. It made it move, but it was sort of a bit subversive in the background as well, not in a nasty way, but more just, it was there, just holding it together. So that was sort of the inspiration. I think I drew a bit from Nick's work on that album, Boatman's Call, which is a really nice album. You should check it out if your listeners haven't heard that. Anything Nick Cave does is pretty good.
Absolutely. A lot of people say bass guitar is really just a rhythm section, but it's not. You can put a lot more into bass. I'd agree. Actually, the bass is one of the trickiest instruments, not necessarily to play, but I really see the bass as the true fusion between rhythm and melody. It's like the cartilage in between, and it's as much a melodic instrument as it is a rhythmic instrument. That's how I see bass. And to me, the best bass players, if you go back into your history books, I mean, Lindsay, you're a bass player. You could probably name quite a number of rock and roll bass players, but probably from my angle, where I come from, my musical turf, I like your Brian Wilsons. If you're listening, Lee Del Mastro, Brian Wilson rocks, mate. Lee's a big fan of my music, which is a real buzz. He's a friend of mine. But Brian Wilson, guys like Bruce Thomas from The Attractions. He was an extraordinarily fantastic bass player. And Macca, Paul McCartney, the ultimate melodic bass player who could
be very melodic and rock out, and
Yeah.
he just kind of fused the two things, the melody and the rhythm.
There's a lot of songs we can all relate to had bass almost taking the lead role, like even some of CCR songs.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen The Rain? It was a classic example of
Yeah.
that, and there's a whole heap of them out there.
Yeah.
Even Deep Purple songs.
Yeah.
You take the bass out of it, the song disintegrates a bit.
Well, that's right. It's often the instrument that people don't recognise that it's there, you know, because it's always the drummer or the guitarist or the lead singer.
Yeah.
But you take out the bass and just the whole bottom drops out of it.
It does.
It's really the engine type room stuff, I think, yeah.
Yeah. Now, getting started and going through the recording process, how did you actually come about all this? What was your plan of action?
Well, basically, a few years ago, I was recording a bit of a gospel album, and I borrowed a VS880, which is a little Porter studio from a friend of mine called Idolo, and I virtually recorded a whole album, spent hundreds of hours on it, and I didn't back it up, and I lost it, the entire thing. I was devastated, and I went up to Sydney on a holiday with the family, and a friend of mine works at the Grove Studios. He's actually the house producer, and his wife, Kathy Johnson, she's like the manager of the studio. It was actually Gary Beer's studio from INXS, and I went there, and I got really depressed, thinking, oh gosh, you know, I've just lost my recording, my little 8-track recording thing, and you know, which sounded great. And then I go there, and this guy, Andy Sorensen's got this set up. I'm just thinking, my goodness, Lord, what do I have to do? And I just thought, well, it was a bit of a journey, and I thought I've got to get into recording and learn it, and get Pro Tools, get a Mac computer, and do it myself, force myself to do it. I'm not really a technology geek. I'm always relied on other people to do it. So basically the process was learning the recording side of it, and how to do that, and Matt helped me a lot with that, and I'll always be forever grateful to Matt for that. And setting up the home studio, a soundproof room we've got, set that up, and basically the process was I'd had some ideas for songs. Some of them were completely written, and some I'd written about 80% of the songs, and there was a couple on there that I'd kind of written half of them, and I just sort of wrote them while I was recording in the studio and just added bits to them. So essentially it started off with an acoustic guitar on most of them, and just with vocals, and often the lyrics, like every great, not that I'm great, but like every great rock story you hear of, you know, the lyrics coming at the very end, you know, like Bob Dylan's writing the lyrics just before he goes to sing them type stuff. It was a little bit like that, although I try and sleep on lyrics overnight often, because, once you commit them, it's like, oh, that doesn't sound that good. But you know, that's just the way I approached this record. It was very orchestrated and very structured. It was, you know, each instrument was played individually, so I had a scratch guitar track, and then I added drums on top of that, then guitars and bass, then keyboards and vocals, backing vocals, tambourines and organs, and just piece by piece, just salami slice technique, just add each bit onto it, and then at the end mix it all, which took just as long as recording. And then got it mastered at a studio. So
Excellent. Okay, we're going to have you doing some another song live on air.
Yes.
But before we do that, we'll just play some words from our sponsors. Okay, folks, 88.3 Southern FM, Purple Haze is the program for about another 15 minutes, and then we have the gamut coming up sharp, somewhere around about fairly close to 10 o'clock. We have Victor Stranges and Matt Swanton in the studio with us from Victor Stranges and the Methinks band. It's just getting themselves together with a really classy act, and will be performing in heaps of gigs around Melbourne in the next year or two.
Yep.
Before they perhaps go on tour of Australia.
Yep.
But just sitting there saying yep when I'm saying all these things.
Yes.
Anyway, we've got them live with their guitars playing an acoustic version of well, I'll let them introduce it, but just before I do, one question.
Yes.
You've got these songs recorded on your albums.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about changing them, doing different versions of them?
Well, actually, it's funny you mention that, because I'm actually toying with the idea of maybe going back and recording. I've had such fun preparing, say, for tonight. We just got together with Matt the other night and just spent a couple of hours going, what songs do we do? And we just really enjoyed playing them acoustically, and I just came up with the idea, maybe it might be great just to get into the studio and just record a couple of them, at least a couple acoustically, and you know, having them online, people can listen to them or download them or buy them or whatever.
An unplugged version like Bjork does.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're definitely. I think I'm definitely in the market for that soon.
Excellent.
Something I might just, and it'd probably be easy to do because, you know, there's no 50,000 instruments that you got to do. It's just one or two guitars and a vocal, so probably can happen quite quickly. So
great.
That's definitely on the cards.
Live.
Excellent.
Live, we do Nightwares differently. We do the chorus that's we bring it down.
Oh yeah, you change them. Yeah, we do change them a bit. Unfortunately, my music's got a lot of chords, some of them. So, like, I kind of freak the band out if I start jamming out on different chords. But sometimes we do.
Right. What are these songs?
This particular one, the first one we're doing is When the Morning Comes. This is the acoustic one, and I think what we're going to play maybe another song after that.
Yep.
But When the Morning Comes is it's a bit inspired by Mr. Neil Finn, Crowded House Man. I was actually listening a lot at the time to their latest album, and Don't Stop Now, which was a single. Kind of that was floating in my head, and I wasn't trying to rip off the song at all, but it was around that time I was listening, and this just sort of came out, and it was quite cool.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we'll play that now.
In the stillness of the night, the city forges you a dream. Hey there, little darling, things may not be what they seem. We will see how this life unfolds when the morning comes. There's a flower of regret that's planted somewhere in the soul. A picture-perfect moment dies. Guess we'll need to improvise. There is nowhere else I'd rather be when the morning comes. I wanna be around when the morning comes. I will stand by your side when the morning comes. As cold as the winter gets, still washing to be done. When the stench of regrets fade, we will see the rising sun that dry the clothes of our imagination. When the morning comes, I say, when the morning comes, when the morning comes, when the morning comes, I will stand by your side when the morning comes. And we're still one throughout it. So let's be glad about it when the morning comes. When the morning comes, I wanna be right in your arms. I will stand by your side. I will stand by your side. You know, I will stand by your side when the morning comes. when the morning comes. All right.
Excellent. You got a very powerful voice there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, just came out. I was turning the mic down a bit there because we were starting to...
Getting a bit hot, was it?
Yeah, it was actually starting to smoke away. Yeah, what's next?
This is a song off the album. This is called The Colour of Your Street is Gold. This is, I suppose, a modern-day take on a Motown sound with a gospel theme type thing. It's something almost that Al Green could cover.
Oh, right.
I'm hoping one day that Al Green might hear this song and maybe do it justice.
Excellent. That's one.
Oh, this is. Oh, yeah, this one's off the album, track 10. Yeah, we're just technical thing here.
Green button.
The Colour of Your Street is Gold, Victor Stranges.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Victor, and thank you, Matt.
No worries.
And it's been a very entertaining evening. And now I think it's just about time for the gamut, so we must be off as we have things to do. See ya.